Welcome to the Love Overwhelming podcast, where we believe when people are supported, hope is developed, and hope guides people in the next step in their recovery and life's journey. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Chuck Hendrickson, Executive Director of Love Overwhelming. You know, in 2015, we started an emergency shelter in Kelso. During that time, we thought that we would be serving around 375 people per year. During the first weekend that we were open, we had over 300 people come through our doors. You ever hear that saying, out of sight, out of mind? That's exactly what happened to us in Kelso. There were people that came out of the woodwork, literally from the woods. There were camps out there that were 30 people deep. Some of those camps had 70 people. And then we were finding out that there were people that were quadrupled up in households, and they just couldn't live that way anymore because they weren't on their lease, and their landlord don't allow people to just come in and start putting people in there. So when we opened up, there was this new resource, and people just came flocking there. We immediately had to make changes. We immediately proposed changes to the county. And during that time, that whole population bubbled to the surface. People that we hadn't seen, the community had not seen that population that visible before, ever in our community. And as we saw that population bubble and rise up to the surface where the community could see, there were mixed reactions. There were people that were uncomfortable with seeing individuals that were experiencing homelessness that way. And there were some people that just didn't like and didn't have the compassion for people to be able to work with them and move forward along with them in their journey and in their steps. Because we believe that when people are supported, that hope is developed, right? We want to build a rapport, build that relationship, and move forward with them. We believe that people shouldn't stay right where they are in the midst of their homelessness, addiction, and whatever is going on in our life, that we're all in recovery. We're all trying to get better. We're all trying to be better people. You know, there were some people, though, that when that population bubbled to the surface, that it really did spark a compassion in their heart. And that compassion for some turned into action. Today, we're going to be talking with one of those groups and a couple of those people that are affiliated with Belly Brigade. You see, in 2015, when Amie Jo, who is the founder and president of Belly Brigade, saw that there was a need within the population that was bubbling to the surface that were experiencing homelessness, she went and had conversations with them. She had a relationship with them. That turned her compassion into action, because she decided at that point that she couldn't take it anymore, that she needed to do something. She wanted to be a part of the solution. So her and some of her friends got together from their recovery group. They went and they brought soup and bread, and they served out of the back of their car, out of the trunk of their car, actually. I remember hearing about that at the shelter and seeing that they would go around and where people were, they were feeding people. Not only feeding people, but they were connecting with them. They were building a rapport. We're building that relationship. You see, Amie Jo and Belly Brigade are great examples of how taking something that you see that's a need and putting it into action to be a part of the solution. Amie Jo and the Belly Brigade volunteers are those examples. People can turn their compassion into action without enabling people. They can meet basic essential needs, build rapport, getting people into treatment and recovery services. I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. Here's my conversation with Amie Jo and Diana from Belly Brigade. So Diana and Amie Jo with Belly Brigade, thank you guys for being here today. Excited to hear about what Belly Brigade does, what they have been doing, and even what they're going to plan on doing in the future here. And so if we could just start out, Amie Jo, let's start with you. And if you want to give a little introduction of who you are and what your role within Belly Brigade is.
I am one of the founders of the Belly Brigade. I'm the president, and we are a project of Cascadia Cares, which is, we're a 501c3, and Kat started Cascadia Cares. She was in a class at Evergreen, and she decided, what the heck, I'm going to start a nonprofit where I'm able to give people fresh starts to grow their own gardens and make sure that people have fresh foods. And it was like September of 2016, I think. And Kat and I played roller derby together. She had been telling me that I could do this thing, because what started out is they did this thing called free hot soup up in Lewis County. And that's where Cascadia Cares started. And I saw a couple friends that used to be in recovery with me, because I am in recovery, and they were not in recovery anymore. They were hungry and it was raining, and I got them a bunch of food, and the shelter was so full that they were sleeping right there in Kelso on the outside. And when I brought them back up there, there was a ton of people on the outside of the building. And so that night I made a post, and I just wrote, does anyone want to make food with me and go take it down in Kelso? And that was September of 2016. And then that's when Kat wrote me again and was like, hey, what have I been telling you? You can make a pot of soup. All you have to do is have a cup. You don't even have to have, that's my husband. You don't even have to have a spoon. You can just have a cup with warm soup in it. It'll keep their hands warm, and they can just drink it, And so she came down, and one of our very first weeks of doing it, and it was on a Sunday. We went around and we drove around town. We went through the circle, and we had this big pot of coffee in Cynthia's trunk. There was like 10 or 12 of us, and the coffee spilled over in the back of Cynthia's SUV. And when we got there that night, I remember one of our unsheltered that I'm still in contact with, that I love very much. And she won't even care that I say her name, but her name is Sean. And she came up to me and she said, "Are you the cops? Why would you bring us this stuff?" And I said no. And anyway, she said, "Well, could you bring me a sleeping bag?" So from there, it turned into, we were collecting socks, and winter was coming. Yeah. And socks and sleeping bags. And many of us on the crew are in recovery. So we would share our story. We don't push recovery on anyone, because the program that we work, it's about attraction, not promotion, or attraction, not promotion. But a lot of folks know and will come up to us and ask. And we've been able to help several people get bags together full of like hygiene and clothes to go off to treatment, whether it be mental health or whether it be substance abuse. We just share our story, but we just feel that everybody deserves to eat. Yeah. No matter who you are, you deserve a hot meal, and that's what we do once a week.
Yeah, and Amie Jo, you're still in charge of Belly Brigade as a whole. Is that correct, or have you guys split up those duties?
Oh no, it's been going. It's there's like five of us, that still communicate. But yeah, I take the wheel. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear.
That's where the crazy part comes in.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Diana. I know we kind of lost you there for a moment, but you're back. So if you just want to give a quick introduction of who you are and what your role is within Belly Brigade.
Well, Diana Davis. I'm a grandmother and great-grandmother, and somehow awesome. I guess I got, did I lose you again?
No.
Oh, okay. Somehow I got kind of deemed the leader of the Kelso feed when we split off and did the two of them. There were several of us that thought, oh, we can't leave our Kelso peeps.
Yeah. That's right.
Go to Longview. So we stayed there in Kelso. And so, like I say, I don't know how I became the leader, but somehow I guess that's what I'm looked at.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful to hear. So, and this is a question for both of you, and we can start out with, you guys, Amie Jo, you guys started out in Longview, and you mentioned this a little bit about some of the need that you saw, but what was the biggest need and challenge that you saw prior to starting Belly Brigade to get this out there?
For the Longview meal?
Yeah.
It was the children.
Yeah.
We, I never wanted Kelso to shut down. I just wanted us to expand. So it worked out perfectly, but it's the children in the Highlands.
Yeah.
And the families that are, you know, they're working 2 jobs. Maybe dad goes to work during the day and mom has the kids, and then mom goes to work at night at some, you know, little store, and they don't qualify for food stamps because they make like $80 too much when you gross income everything. And those were the people that I really wanted to reach. And the pastor that the church that we serve from and the congregation of the Longview Foursquare Church have been amazing, because that's who they're trying to reach also. You know, we're trying to reach everybody, of course, but that was why I wanted to be in the Highlands.
No, that's great to hear, Amie Jo. And what I'm hearing from you though is it isn't just people who are experiencing homelessness who are accessing and coming in, but it's people who are food insecure, if you will. Maybe like you said, we see that all the time where people don't qualify for a certain benefit because they make $80 over what the threshold is. And it's really sad to see some of that, because people have to either choose between taking less hours so they can qualify and they can feed their kids, or taking more hours and trying to get a 3rd or 4th job. And as we see that, it's a lot. So a lot of your people that are coming through have homes, right?
Yeah, and a lot of them are disabled or elderly that we've been seeing usually in the summers when we get the kids, because we are right now during the COVID. I'm seeing more kids than I've seen all year, and you'll have to excuse these. I might do these hand things. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, like. Just recently, we lost a little lady that she had a home, but she just wanted to sit with me and the group members for an hour and have a meal on Sunday and just have someone to have conversation with. And she just passed away from cancer. But she was like one of the reasons that I realized that it was exactly there for, you know, for folks like her. We have a lot of elderly that come that they just want someone to talk to once a week. They get to sit down, have a meal, and we tell jokes. And usually my job is that I don't serve the food or dish it out. I mingle and find out what needs people have. You know, that's when it's run regularly. So
a little bit different now with COVID, I assume.
Yeah, because we wanted to start what's called belly bags. And Brand X Piercing has donated a whole bunch of these bags that I wanted to send with children. If they came every Sunday, they would get at least 7 good snacks. So like a week's worth of snacks. Yeah. We didn't care if the kids went home and ate them all in one sitting, but at least we would know that each kid had a bag full of snacks for a week. And, you know, one of my guys that he was homeless when we first met him in Kelso, but now he's been in a home now for 2 years. He lives right by us, and he goes to the Food for Change meal and comes and helps us. And he told me not to put applesauce in there. He said they don't want applesauce, so just don't waste your time. But I still want to do the belly bags.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I assume that a lot of the influx of kids is because they're out of school right now. Yeah. And even though there are meals for people to come in, there's still more need than just what the schools can give.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of kids, and that's been awesome.
Yeah. And Diana, what about there in Kelso, the Kelso Belly Brigade? I assume that you're seeing more than just people who are experiencing homelessness as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say actually we only have about a quarter of our people that are actually homeless, without homes. Yeah. And live on the streets and under bridges and whatnot. And it's like Amie Jo said, a lot of them are elderly, disabled, enjoy just coming in and having a chat and visit. And you can tell they miss that since middle of March when we started just not letting them come inside and handing them to-go bags.
Yeah.
They'll stand outside and yell at us, hello, hello.
Aww.
Yeah. But we
it's hard on everybody.
Actually homeless people, I'd say, that are regulars.
Yeah, and when you guys split up, so is it my understanding that you guys started in Kelso and then went to, I mean, you talked about you drove, and I remember because of the shelter in Kelso there, when you guys were driving around and you guys were serving soup out of the back of your car, out of a trunk, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And so you guys were doing that, but then you guys ended up going to Longview. So at that time, did you guys see a bigger need then to come and maintain Kelso, or was it just all congruent, happened all at once? As you guys went forward?
We had been at Kelso for 2 years, right there in the county admin building.
Yeah.
Right there we had always been there. It was one of our group members was a member of the Highlands Neighborhood Association, and she was doing a lot of things for, like, at Easter time, they had the special needs children Easter egg hunt. At Thanksgiving, she made sure, that the whole group, the H&A crew, would give away turkey boxes, and so a lot of that was weighing on, I feel, on me personally, that there was so many people in need. And at Christmas time, and we adopt a certain amount of kids each year, so it was just that I could see through her being in the other program that the Highlands had a need, a very big need. And so I thought that it was time, and we were offered the laundromat that's across the street from the church, and that didn't last very long. But immediately, somehow Pastor Eli got a hold of me and said, no, come over here. Yeah. And then when that happened, Diane was offered, I don't know the name of the church, but it's where Radical Love serves. Her name is Vonda. Yep. And all of a sudden we were no longer in the cold, putting up pop-up tents, freezing. And we all had a spot for for the winter for our folks to sit for an hour and be warm.
Yeah,
it was all, it both kind of happened, I think, at the same time.
Oh, that's great to hear. And for those of you that don't know, the Longview meal share is at the Longview Foursquare Church on 20th Avenue, correct?
Yes.
And then the other one, it's the Kelso United Methodist Presbyterian Church.
Yes, that church.
Pastor Vonda is there. In fact, I did one of my podcasts is with Pastor Vonda, and she's talking about the use of her building and you guys. And so it's just really neat to see how it all correlates and the wonderful things that are going on in the community, even out of that
and
building.
I think that Diane and Vonda have a great relationship. They talk with each other, and that's the thing is, like, I don't worry about Kelso.
Yeah.
Because Diane and Tammy and Christine and all and the gals over there, they do their own thing. And sometimes I'll be like, hey, no, when this COVID thing happened, I was like, this is how it's going. And Diane, you're not going out because you have a compromised immune system. And she was like, no, I'm going. And I was like, okay, I need to back off.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear how just they've come together, but even though they're separate areas, you guys are still operating as one and helping each other out if needed.
Oh, yeah.
That's great to hear. So this is a question for either of you, whoever wants to answer this, that's great. But since Belly Brigade has started, since you guys have been volunteering and doing this work, what has changed within you and how you view people that may be experiencing homelessness or poverty or whatever the case may be? And I don't know, maybe, I know, Amie Jo, you were talking about being in recovery, and so you may have already had all of that, but I'm just curious as to, as you guys have started and you're serving people and volunteering, how has that changed you and your outlook?
Diane, you can go.
Sure. I'll chime in here. Well, I have a huge heart, but I first even heard of Belly Brigade at a meeting of the 100 Women Who Care. I was one of the originals, showed up the first meeting, And Amie Jo and her group had fixed all the food for the 100 ladies that night. And as they were giving her accolades and talking about where it came from, I thought, oh my God, that sounds like a really awesome group. And so I chased Amie down afterwards. She kind of told me what it was, and I just showed up the next Sunday, and I've been there every Sunday since. It's been about 2.5 years, and I've missed one Sunday.
Wow.
But my thing is that I just, like I said, I have a huge heart, but everyone at that Kelso group we do this without judgments. Sometimes people come in that are high or obviously have been using. We are kind to them. We treat them like our guests. We feed them a hot meal. We find out if there's anything else that we can do for them, but we love them without judgments. And that's probably been my greatest achievement there.
Yeah. That's great to hear. I know that's not always easy for people. And so it's great to hear that you guys are just extending hope to people by knowing who they are, knowing people's names is a big one too, and just caring about them right where they are. Amie Jo, you have anything to add to that?
Like how how Belly Brigade has changed me. It
yes.
Well, it's absolutely changed me. I was at a point in my recovery and in my life where it started right when I needed it, because I was at a place where all I thought about was myself. And a lot of the disease of addiction it's a self-centered disease. And so it helps me. I know that I go overboard, and I have lots of people and friends that say, like, you can't save the world. But I've learned how to not enable through Belly Brigade. When it first started, there was a girl that was living under the bridge, and she got her own place and everything was great. And well, she didn't get her own place yet, but before she did, she would write me in the middle of the night that she was starving, and I would just get up and leave, and I would heat food up in my house, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And today she has her own place and whatnot, and possibly me having to put some boundaries with her has caused the fact that we don't even talk now, because there is a list. We have a list, and I know that when people offer needs on Belly Brigade, I caution them, or I say write us first, because there's several people on that page that will just take. And we try to make sure things get divvied out fairly. I think the best thing about it, though, like I said, like no matter what you did today, or no matter how much you didn't, accomplish your goals or whatnot, or who your family thinks that you are to them in this moment, you get a hot meal.
Yeah.
And we're not religious. Our group is not. We're not political. We are unconditional. And I just believe that for me, my own personal is that I've gotten closer to Jesus. For me, my own personal relationship with Jesus by doing Belly Brigade, because I feel like I'm doing what he did, and that's what he wants me to do. Is like, it doesn't matter if you just screamed at someone in their face, or you just keyed someone's car, you're gonna get a hot meal. Yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's my own personal.
And Amie Jo, it sounds like you're just really following after just trying to meet people where they are, care about them. You use the word unconditional, unconditionally loving them no matter where they're at. But that brings me to my next piece, and you touched on it a little bit, but I'm a firm believer in what I've seen and you guys do is not just enabling people by giving them food, but you want people to move forward. You want people to get into housing and get jobs and all of that. And that's very important to you guys from what I've heard, right? So can you just, for those that would be on the fence maybe about volunteering and meal shares and whether they're enabling or helping, and just give some, maybe a little more examples, or what you would say to those individuals to be able to let them know that you guys aren't just enabling, but you are helping people move forward.
Well, I think that I did really say that. I think that giving someone a hot meal to, like, if you think about it in the sense that one hot meal and a couple bottles of water will keep someone alive for a week, right? Also, you know, you have to come to us. We don't have cars that come and pick you up. So we don't get the huge crowds, you know what I mean? Like, you have to come to us, you know. It's, the COVID is a little different. Things have been doing a little different, but you give someone a hot meal, you give them a couple bottles of water, you tell them you love them. Usually you hug them until the COVID came, and you tell them that you believe in them. And that's a whole nother week that their bodies physically will stay alive for them to make different choices. And it takes a while, but a lot of people have come up and said, okay, I'm ready. I want to know, what do I need to do? Okay, I'm tired of living like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sick of, you know what I mean? I'm sick of being like this. What can I do? And that's when I'll help, you know, that piece. I don't know.
And is that somewhere? Yeah, that makes sense. And so someone comes to you and says, hey, I've heard this before. I'm tired of living on the streets. I'm tired of living this way. Where is it that maybe you or Diana are able to then share with people to move forward? And are you guys referring them to different programs and services, or what happens when that goes on and people are requesting services?
Well, if they're requesting substance use treatment or help with that, we have a detox center in town now, and that's where I like to start. We used to, you know, the detox center and treatment centers used to be wherever, but we have so many treatment centers in town. And if someone is like, you know, I'm afraid to get off of it, and I'm like, okay, here, I'll sit down with them, and this is the number that you call. And right now, I think Columbia Wellness is doing by phone at first to figure out if they'll accept. But I send them. I've sent people. It depends on what they're asking for. But the substance use, I'm super obviously passionate about. So I will send them. I work for a facility. I am a substance use disorder counselor, as well as in recovery. So I will send them to a different treatment center so that I can also be a part of their guided journey, if you will. Because if they were to go to my facility, then, you know, I wouldn't be able to have that kind of contact with them. But because our area is so, we have Family Health Center, which is formerly DAPC, which they have 2 inpatient facilities here. Like, one is up in Toodle and one is for women and children and pregnant women. And then we have CORE that just started to bloom. And we have, you know, the Cowlitz Indian tribe, obviously. And I'm trying to think of, anyways, but so if they want substance use help, that's what I do. If they are looking for housing and stuff, you know, or they're on the streets, I'll tell them to go to Love Overwhelming to get a caseworker, or go to CAP. And I believe actually that's where that they go through CAP, right?
Yeah, a lot of them do, yeah.
To get help through Love Overwhelming, I think. I've helped people, you know, my one friend used to work at the community house, and we've gotten people in the middle of the night. That's awesome. When they are, especially families that, you know, and now there's the Family Promise. I don't know much about, but I need to educate myself more on that.
Yeah, definitely.
But the substance use, I know exactly where to send them. So
that's great. And Diana, I assume over in Kelso, it's kind of the same thing. And you have some people there that might be volunteering that have different expertise. And are you seeing the same thing there?
Yes, although recovery is not in my repertoire. There are several of our regular servers and helpers that are. Yeah. So And then Christine is hooked into social services through the Early Childhood Education and Learning Center. And she knows a lot about all the programs that are available. So if I personally get a request like what Amie Jo was talking about, I think that comes best from someone who's been there.
Yeah.
So I pull in one of the other ladies to kind of talk through it with them. And
yeah, that's great. Having, Amie Jo and even Diana, you guys talking about peer supports and how important they are, not only in the different agencies, but in the meal share groups, because there are people that I'll never be able to have that conversation with because I've not been in their shoes, where Amie Jo, you as a part of the recovery community and as a peer, will have more influence. And so that's amazing to hear that, again, that for those that are listening and hearing, this is the first time you've heard about Belly Brigade, or maybe you're on the fence, you think that feeding people is enabling people, or, oh, we've heard, don't feed the bears, right? Like, that's just not what is going on. There's so much more than just feeding and being able to help people move forward in their recovery and what that looks like to them. Moving forward, if people want to volunteer and come there's the Kelso and the Longview, and there's some differences in serving. And so right now, Diana, if you could talk about a little bit about the Kelso meal share, Belly Brigade meal share, and what your needs are there. Do you need volunteers, and do you need donations, or what is it that you need, and how can people get involved at this time, or what are the restrictions now with the COVID pandemic going on?
Okay, so physically volunteering, we can't do right now because of COVID. We have the use of the kitchen there in Lori Hall, and to keep the 6-foot distancing and follow all the guidelines, there's not room for anyone else. We've got 5 people. Yeah. We get there and we bring what we've fixed, and then we put the meal boxes and bags together there. But certainly if someone wants to make a dish, donate some protein, donate paper goods and whatnot that we use, they can get a hold of either myself or Amie Jo. And there's also the Belly Brigade Facebook page. They can get on and just post a question there, and somebody will get right back to them and let them know how they can help.
Wonderful. And Diana, for you in the Kelso location, is the Facebook, the Belly Brigade Facebook, the best way to reach out for donations or to share meals with you guys? Is that the best way to get a hold of you?
Yes. I do have a lot of my personal friends and clients. I'm a realtor, so a lot of my clients will get a hold of me through other means. But for general public, the Belly Brigade page, yes, is the best way.
Wonderful. We'll make sure that we put a little link down there so people can see that, and when we post that, so they can access that. And Amie Jo, as far as Longview goes, there, I know that you guys are still serving at the Foursquare Church, and then you guys are doing some maybe even going out to the Alabama Street Camp and dropping some food off. Do you just want to tell us, if someone was to volunteer there, can they volunteer now? Is it the same as Kelso, or what are the needs that you have there for the Longview meal share?
Well, I am actually taking volunteers that want to come because there are a lot of people that are doing that are from drug court or probation, and drug court, they do a certain amount of hours to help others in a program called MRT. So right now I'm taking anyone and everyone that comes. If they show up and it's too big of a crowd, I might send them around to clean up the church, but they still need to get their hours. And I want us, we are hooked up through the drug court, Cowlitz County probation, and the juvenile to offer these hours.
So hold on, Amie Jo, I'm sorry to cut you off. So you're telling me that not only you guys are giving out food, you're helping people access services, but you also have people who are on drug court that need community service hours to be able to complete their drug court graduation. You guys are also able to offer that at your meal share.
Oh yeah, we're on a list for the juvenile center also. for health court, I think it's called, the mental health court.
Yeah.
Drug court, Hope court, Cowlitz County probation, DOC. We are all set for that. So I'm not turning anyone away that definitely needs to come and volunteer. Their volunteer part might look different. Like I might say, hey, go around this church and pick up the cigarette butts by the bus stop, because, my friend is, so when this COVID happened, all my group members had to sit down. What has happened is like a lot of my friends have stepped up. So I have a mixture of people that weren't regulars helping that have now become regulars helping. And like one of my friends that I played roller derby with, her whole family shows up every Sunday.
That's great.
What we've done since even before the COVID is we take all leftovers over to the camp. And I've also had, when someone reaches out to me that needs hours, I've been able to give people like, hey, can you go pick up all of these crates of milk and bring them Sunday so then I can give them hours? Can you go pick up the Little Caesars pizza and take it, to this house or that house, So I just actually even got a message from someone who said they needed MRT hours. So I told her to show up. Yeah. I'm not going to, I'll find something for them to do so that they're still involved and they're still actively feeling like they're getting their hours,
Yeah, and giving back. That's great.
Yeah. And if they cook something for the meal, I give them an extra hour.
Yeah. That
because,
makes sense.
Kelso doesn't struggle. Like they have their own, like I said, they're very mellow, but Longview, I've been struggling getting or feeling like I was, but every week food happens. So good. Diane posts a roll call on Thursdays. I've been posting a roll call for Longview. I've been trying to do it by Tuesday. And people are really signed up this week, so I'm excited about that. But
that's great. And so, Amie Jo, can you tell us about the roll call? My understanding is that within the Facebook page that you guys have, every week you're throwing these roll calls out to see who can bring what to make sure that the meal has that in there. Can you just kind of share about that?
Yeah. It was like years ago that the gal that did Feed the Need, I think Amanda, she would do a roll call, and I was like, that's what I think we should do, because everybody, I remember this one meal, I thought people were bringing soup. No one brought soup. We ended up going and getting burgers at like Burger King because it was so uncoordinated. And so the roll call that gets posted each week, and we make sure that it says the date for that Sunday. Anybody can sign up and say, hey, I'm going to bring you sliced up pineapple. And then we can add that to it so we know that that's coming, Like this week, we're doing teriyaki chicken. I got all this chicken that was donated from CAP. So I'm going to make a bunch of teriyaki chicken, and then the helpers are already signed up for rice and veggies, and that's the best way. And if anyone wants to donate a dish and look for those roll calls, that's what we really need help with. And to-go boxes, we really need a donation of to-go boxes. There's been a lot of other stuff too, because I do food drops now to disabled and the elderly before our meal, and sometimes those are a different meal than anything else. And we've probably given out 450 rolls of toilet paper, and now it's 400 pounds of cat and dog food to our elderly and stuff. So we do a lot of stuff. We just don't want to post about everything we do, because we don't always do this. If we do one thing for someone, is it special? We can't let others know that, because then it will be on our shoulders that we have to do it for everyone. So really, we're more than just a hot meal on Sundays.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like it's very individualized. If those individuals come with you and have a real a need or an issue, then you guys are able to fill that kind of going forward. So that's great to hear. So those of you that are listening, Facebook is the best way. Belly Brigade page. Again, we'll put the link down there for you guys. And And that's the best way. They'll put the roll call out there. They'll make sure that there's food, and they'll work with you and communicate and coordinate with you to get that food from you or have you drop it off. And of course, the Kelso location is not taking volunteers at the time. The Longview location is taking volunteers. So if you're interested in that, please message them, message Belly Brigade on Facebook. That's the best way to get a hold of them. So just wrapping up our time, just again, thank you guys. This has been an incredible conversation. There's a lot of stuff that has gone on from Belly Brigade starting in 2016 to where it is now. And Amie Jo and Diana, I just want to give you guys an opportunity that if there's anything that you would like to add, that this would be the time. And anything you want to share about Belly Brigade, I'll give you guys the time here.
Well, I just want to thank everybody who's stepped up. And I also, and I want to thank all of our regular volunteers also. And especially, like I said, the ones that have stepped up. Also, if you do volunteer, you must be wearing a mask. But I really want to say, I know that, you know, a lot of our group members feel bad that they're either elderly or have a compromised immune system. I want them to know that they're still important, that their well-being is more important than coming out there, and that they're still important. But one thing that, I feel is missing from our meeting is Kathleen Brown. And like I said to you earlier, Kathleen came at the same time that Diane did, and she's been a constant. And, I was just looking at the Zoom thing, and it has 4 squares and there's a black square. And I was thinking to myself that that's where Kathleen would be. There is no way we would have been able to do all the things that we do without her, at Longview, especially. She's very special. She has helped so many people she probably doesn't even know. And I just want to say thank you, Kathleen, for all your service, and that I think about you every day.
That's great to hear. And for those of you that don't know Kathleen, she's been in our community for a long time and just really has a huge heart for people. I got to meet her just within my profession, and she was always so helpful to the people that we serve. So it's just great to hear. So I just, again, thank you guys for not only feeding people, but for caring about people. And thank you that in the midst of this, you guys are able to, there's a lot of hopelessness, right? Not even counting the pandemic right now, that adds this extra layer of hopelessness, in my opinion. But people, there's hopelessness out there. And so thank you guys for not only sharing your meals with people and sharing food, but extending hope to people and giving them that extra attention just to love on them right where they are, so that they can take the next step forward and their recovery in their life, right? So it's a very big deal. So thank you guys. I appreciate having you here. Yes. And hopefully we'll do another one of these, and maybe we can come on site when the COVID piece is all done, and we can do a little
we can hug.
You guys cooking and serving.
We're hope dealers, so that's what we do. We deal hope.
Yeah, we want to be able to hug again.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, keep doing what you're doing. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.